Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 10. The next morning, Cole was up at first light. A sharp wind blew through the air and the clouds began to amass in the distance. After getting some chow, Cole went to check on the preparations. "We all set?" he asked Monroe, who was directing a mechanic's crew. "We checked the plugs, fluids, and belts. Everything is topped off. She's running tip-top, sir, and we have backups if something goes wrong while we're out there." "Let's not even put that in the universe," Cole countered. "These days, sir, you never know," Monroe said. "What about fuel reserves?" "That's the trick, sir. The transport has some massive tanks under it. She can go the long haul, but she's primed to blow because of it. I had the mechanics install additional shielding, but I don't suggest taking her into any gun battles." "We're ready to roll, sir," Chappie declared, approaching with the men. After a final check on the crew, their provisions, and fuel supplies, Cole climbed into the passenger seat next to Monroe. "You ready for this?" Smiling warmly back at Cole, Monroe replied cheerfully, "I always love road trips, Major. Which way are we headed?" "I figured we'd go across North Dakota into Montana and drop down through Idaho into Nevada. That way we can scope out Grayson's operations ourselves." "Sounds like a plan," Monroe agreed. The engine rumbled as the transport lurched forward. Cole was excited. They hadn't left the area since the Great Quake. He was getting restless, and the excuse to get back on the move was welcome, even if the circumstances were dire. Getting jostled by the unevenness of the road, Cole was shaken from his thoughts. He looked over at Monroe. "They're putting the roads back together, but it's going to be a rough ride," Monroe admitted. Cole chuckled a little. "The boys in the back are going to be thrilled." Cole paid sharp attention to the lay of the land as they drove through Grayson's territory. And before the night's end, they were entering Nevada. Ordering the men to set up camp, Cole was eager to get to sleep so they could start on the road early in the morning. He watched the men complete their work as he finished his notes on Grayson's property. Hearing the sound of footsteps approaching, Cole looked up. "Sir, camp is all set up," Chappie reported. "Good. Set a perimeter guard and switch them out halfway through the night," Cole directed. Chappie looked at him seriously. "Everything will be tight and right, sir. I'd expect nothing less." "What are you so glum about, Major? Come on and grab some chow," Chappie urged him. "It's General McClintock. He was telling me how different it is out here. He compared it to hostile territory. This is our country, Chappie. This is America," Cole fretted over the circumstances. "It's been smooth sailing so far. It sounds like he's just exaggerating," Chappie assured Cole. "When have you ever known McClintock to exaggerate the threat on a mission before?" Chappie's eyes looked up as he thought back to the past. "This time would be the first, sir." "Exactly," Cole told him. "Whatever the threat is, we have time to eat now, so we better take advantage of the opportunity while we have it," Chappie urged him. "That is true. Let's go. Nothing will get solved by worrying about it anyway," Cole agreed. Stepping from the tent, he smiled at the men, telling stories of ladies and parties. His boots felt heavy as he headed towards Monroe, who was stirring a pot. "It's hot and thick, sir," Monroe teased, filling a bowl for him. "I should have gotten you some cooking classes long ago," Cole commented, stirring the mixture with his spoon. "Whoever made you chef anyway?" Chappie chimed up. "Nobody else wanted to do it," Monroe commented. Walking up, LePierre volunteered. "I would do it, sir, but French cuisine is too delicate for a campfire." "What I wouldn't do for some French fries," Chappie replied dreamily. "French fries aren't French, dumbass," Monroe corrected him. "To hell they ain't. Why are they called French fries, then?" Chappie wondered seriously. "Tell 'em, LePierre." "They're not from France, Chappie. Those horrible abominations are purely American," LePierre corrected. "Horrible abomination? That's fried heaven you're insulting there, soldier," Chappie rebutted. Scraping up the rest of the contents in the bowl, Virgis handed it to a young soldier. Thanks, Higgs. Not a problem, sir. His blue eyes sparkled in the setting sun. The thick stew sat like a lump in his belly, and the weight of the day pressed heavily on his shoulders. I'm going to get some shut-eye, boys. Chappie, your team is first watch, and LePierre is on the AM shift. He snapped his orders and received an affirmative reply before returning to his tent. The wind had picked up, and the canvas blew wickedly as he curled up in his sleeping bag. Wishing he could take off his boots, he knew better than to do so and closed his eyes. Bang! 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 The noise of gunfire ripped through the quiet of the morning. Jumping from his bed, Cole grabbed his rifle and burst through the tent flap. Monroe, report, Cole demanded. Looking back wild-eyed, Monroe declared, It was an ambush, sir. LePierre's unit was on watch. They cut us off from them. They want our food, sir. We need to hightail it out of here, sir, Chappie declared, ordering men to pack the truck. LePierre is out there, Chappie. We can't leave men behind. We'll have to defend ourselves. Kill them if you have to. We can't round them up with this small of a unit, Cole ordered, determined to get his men back. Knowing the look in his commander's eyes, Monroe hardened his resolve. Rallying the forces, he called, Hold the line, people! We aren't leaving without our crew. The soldiers cried out, Yes, sir! Watching the refugees advance in an orderly mob of people, Virgis declared, Here they come, Monroe! Look alive! Drowned out by the noise of gunfire, Cole and his team held the line, protecting the truck. There was a solid ridge to hide behind, but they couldn't press forward without exposing themselves. LePierre's team was surrounded in the distance, cut off from any reinforcement. Searching his brain for a strategy that would work, Cole was at a loss. Sharing in his desperation, Monroe declared, They just keep coming, as he reloaded his rifle. Wave after wave of refugees advanced, and there always seemed to be reinforcements. Sweat poured down Chappie's face as he crept in. The reality of the situation had struck him a long time ago. There's too many, sir. You know the law of large numbers. We'll be overwhelmed no matter how good we are if they keep coming. Unwilling to leave his men behind, Cole yelled, Hold the line, soldiers! The shell casings flew through the air as the shots rang out, but their opponents knew the desert landscape well. Neither side could advance. Cole knew it would come down to which side had more ammunition, and he had not prepared for a long-term gunfight. Moving closer to him, Monroe urged Virgis, You know he's right, sir. We can't sit here and waste all our ammo. We have to punch through or we'll have to leave them. We'll go, sir, one of the young soldiers volunteered. We'll punch a hole through to LePierre and Higgs. Looking at him admirably, Cole declared, We'll all go. No, sir, Chappie told him. You can't. We need someone to lay down cover. Pulling Chappie aside, Cole told him, Going out there is a death wish. You know it, and I know it. I'm not sending those young men to their death. We face it every day, sir. We all know it, Chappie declared. Cole huffed with frustration, realizing his friend was correct. Returning to his men, he commanded the young soldier, Go get them back. We'll cover you. They tucked in tightly to the cliff, laying down suppressive fire as the team popped up, dashing towards the next cover point. They made it, Chappie declared. Reload, Monroe insisted, trying to keep him focused. The men rapidly refilled their magazines. Cole watched the stone shards blast through the air as the refugees sprayed bullets at his men. They returned fire, suppressing the activity. His men bounded up from the hiding spot, but before they could run, a grenade landed in the center of their group. Cole's heart sank as the boom from the grenade echoed through the air. Virgis, get in the truck, let's go, Chappie insisted. Is this the hill you want to die on? Looking in the direction they needed to go, Monroe declared, They blocked the road. Crazed with anger, Cole insisted, We can't leave the fighters behind. They could still be alive. Sitting with his back to the hill, Chappie pouted. We came all the way out here, and now LePierre is probably dead anyway. Watching the horizon behind him, Chappie saw black dots in the distance rapidly advancing towards them. The advancing vehicles sported two .50 caliber rifles, spraying bullets at the refugees. Chappie smiled widely, displaying a missing tooth. "Well, I'll be damned. Looky there, Major." Following his friend's glare, Monroe asked, "Are they friendlies?" "Those 50 cals on those armored vehicles ain't firing at our truck," Cole said with a slight smile. He recognized the frame of one of the gunners. Motivated by the emergence of the heavy firepower, Monroe grinned, declaring, "Let's take 'em out, boys!" He turned, continuing his rapid fire into the group of insurgents. Cole did the same as he listened to the trucks get closer. Soon the lead truck was beside him. Cassidy Baker's beautiful eyes looked down at him. Her hair blew with the wind, and her smile stretched from ear to ear. "Hey there, babyface. Heard you were in a pinch." Trying not to get distracted by her tantalizing nature, Cole explained bluntly, "I had fighters out to the north." "Hop in. My crew will watch over your men here," Cassidy responded, urging him to join her. Eager to find out the condition of LePierre's team, Cole instructed, "Monroe, Chappie, stay here. I'll be back. Have that truck ready to roll." "Bring him back, Major," Monroe encouraged him, relieved by the arrival of the reinforcements. Unsure he could maintain his focus in Cassidy's presence, Cole climbed into the passenger seat. The driver steered the vehicle toward the location that Virgis indicated as Cassidy sprayed bullets to clear the way. Spying his team, Virgis shouted, "Out behind those rocks! Look, they're still fighting!" Impressed they were still alive, Virgis tapped the glass and pointed out the team's location to Cassidy. She smiled widely, giving him a thumbs up. "We'll get them out," she screamed over the hum of the massive gun. Sergeant Higgs's eyes darted back and forth with fear as they met Cole's stare. "Where's LePierre?" Cole demanded. "He's here, sir," Higgs replied instinctually. "He's been shot." "Give me some cover, gunner," Cole demanded as he lunged from the vehicle. Listening to the ring of the 50 cal, he sprinted through the dust to the cover of the rock outcropping. LePierre lay holding a compress to his abdomen while Higgs sprayed a barrage of bullets at the refugees. "Higgs, help me with LePierre," Cole snapped hastily. LePierre looked up with a relieved expression. "Virgis," he sputtered. "My family." "Just relax, Amandeep," Cole soothed them, watching Higgs approach with the stretcher Cassidy had supplied. "We'll get you there." Cole gently rolled the man onto his side. LePierre winced in pain as Higgs slid the stretcher in under his body. Cole listened to the 50 cal ring as it emptied its supply. The activity from the refugees increased again. "Move your ass, Cole!" Cassidy yelled from the truck, grabbing an automatic weapon and returning fire. Moving stealthily under the cover of the fire Cassidy supplied, Cole and Higgs ran towards the truck. Cole sighed with relief as LePierre passed out from the pain. It would allow them to move faster. Loading the stretcher onto the back of the vehicle, Cole jumped into the passenger seat, and the driver sped back towards Monroe and Chappie. Looking into the back, Cole's eyes met Cassidy's. "There's a good medic in Reno. It will be safe there," Cassidy assured him, admiring Cole's respect for his men. "Reno? He needs help now," Cole responded, hoping they could find a medic center closer. "There's nothing out here anymore, Virgis," Cassidy assured him. "We have to get to Reno." LePierre opened his eyes, listening to their argument. He looked towards the open window and declared, "That's close to the border, Virgis. I can make it." Hearing the man's plea, Cole had no choice but to agree. "Okay, let's get the boys and do this."
Look, Biden's America's crushing us. You've got companies laying off tens of thousands of workers, one after the other. Americans working 2 jobs just to get by. And inflation is pushing hardworking families to the brink. I mean, aren't you glad you have laying hens? The digital dollar will control every aspect of your life, and it's already in the works. Truth is, you need a plan. Because once they have control of all your money, then you're not going to be able to move it. That's why the Prepper Broadcasting Network has partnered with Goldco. So you can diversify that savings and your investments with gold and silver before things get worse. You know I bring you the best, and Goldco is a 6-time INC 5000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, thousands of 5-star reviews, and they've helped people like you and me place over $1 billion in the safe haven of gold and silver. They're offering up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last. And if you call them today, qualified callers will get a free Ronald Reagan half-ounce silver coin. Look, the goal is to change everything. The goal is to control everything. Don't let them. Call 855-489-3010 today. That's 855-489-3010.
Hello and welcome to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 405. No, I got ahead of myself. 405, season 15. Yeah, episode 10. Hey, Jim, what's up?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Yeah, I saw the 15 out there. I just wanted to jump ahead. I was just so excited. So... Oh, that's what you get when you're working on too many projects at once. I was putting together a hilarious scene on the audio drama. So I was like, it's time to get over to the other computer. And
I was just sitting back watching YouTube videos waiting for you to call me. Sitting in the green room watching shows.
I'm like vigorously working at the other computer. I got to switch over now.
Eating my green M&Ms.
Right? So yeah, pretty cool episode from Virgis today. You can get your copy of that at changingearthseries.com. It is ready. It is a beautiful book. I just love it. Great cover and everything. It turned out good. I had Doug Hogan design that for me. And former military.
With his artistic designs. He's good with them.
He's really good. Yeah, he does some great graphics for book covers. So, and then tentatively this Thursday is going to be episode 1 of season 3 for the audio drama. We think we're going to make it. We had some hiccups. Poor JB got loaded down at work just last minute. So we think we're going to make it. And if we don't launch this week, then it'll definitely be next week. But tentatively, we're still on schedule. She hasn't told me otherwise. So I told her, you know what? This is supposed to be a fun project. It's a relaxed project. We make the deadlines. So as of right now, we're still going live on Thursday for members. That'll be the commercial-free version of the audio drama, and members supporting members get that the week early. So, and then next week it will be the live version for everybody else. So yeah, exciting stuff. Get to finally show off all the work we've been doing. Oh, so much work. So to see it come to fruition is really cool. It's an immense amount of work. From writing the scripts to producing all the, collecting all the audio from all the wonderful performers that help out with it, and then putting together the guts of the show, and then just polishing. So much goes into it. Really, really thank everybody who's involved. There are so many people involved, guys. So, they get a round of applause. It's really turning out cool, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. Please give me feedback on the audio drama, because as a creative that puts things out for people to digest, I've learned that, people like you, Chin, who came back and I was with you on the adventure. That's the funnest thing in the world for me. So that's
really been the most exciting part of the internet experience, is the interaction with the content creators.
Yeah. I can't imagine back in the day when you would write a book and
hey, Stephen King, that was awesome. That clown scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or even, TV production.
Stay away from the gutter. Get away from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just didn't do that.
And you can hear stuff from critiques and whatnot all day, but to hear from the actual people who are digesting it, it's so rewarding. So thanks, guys.
Back to you must have been awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Always appreciate it. I love that stuff. I really do. So
it's like live concerts for a band, as
Yes.
opposed to going into the studio.
Yeah, putting out a record versus, being able to do it live with everybody.
Yeah.
So, and for anybody who's coming out to Prepper Camp this year, we're going to have a huge group of the performers and production, crew out there. So, if you want to meet...
I'd say a huge group of characters.
Yeah, yes. A huge group of characters for sure. Like, TJ is going to be there, and Yuri will be there, and...
all a bunch of characters.
Yeah, all the Moors, minus Star, and I don't know. Maybe we can get Star out there, but, no, that's not their real names, obviously, but but yeah, the Virgis, Phil, who plays Virgis, he'll be out there. So, a huge group of the cast will be out there. So if you see me out at Prepper Camp and you're like, hey, who plays so-and-so, I might be able to introduce you. Yeah.
Just listen, you'll hear their voices.
Yeah, except for Ryan, who plays Sergey and Yuri. You wouldn't recognize him by his voice. I didn't know his real voice the first time I met him. So, yeah. Okay, so Virgis and then the audio drums coming. So last week I promised you we were going to be jumping into more action-packed adventure on Virgis because that's really what I love to do. And so we definitely got into the action today. They leave west.
Break out the 50 cal.
Yeah. Tick, 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 tick. I loved finding the sound for that for the audio drama. Yeah, it's the best. It was like real 50 cal in action. I'm like, yeah, buddy, bring it on.
Bring the action to the scene.
Yeah. So they leave west. They have this vehicle, and as somebody who's driven across the country a lot, I can tell you that driving across the country would not be an easy deal if you didn't have multiple gas stations to stop at.
Right.
Yeah, quite a different world now from what we'd be facing then. So we're going to get a little bit into now and then later on in the show. But it's definitely food for thought. And then we had the big ambush, right? So the refugees are like, we're ambushing this militia or this mercenary force, which, of course, law of large numbers wins.
Right.
Yeah,
I just read that someplace.
Yeah, exactly. So when you can amass, the only thing that is going to overcome law of large numbers is either a tactical advantage. If you have like a supreme tactical advantage, whether that be geographical or by, just military strategy of a commander, whatever, that can overcome the law of large numbers, or superior firepower, which enter the 50 cal. Right? And then Cassidy up there, just bang, 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 bang. I can't wait to see that on the TV screen, So, the wind blowing in her hair.
Oh, yeah. Virgis went all star.
Yeah, he's all starstruck. Oh, she came to save me. She's so beautiful.
Middle of battle.
Yes. And she's just like, I just like shoot the 50 cal. So, so good chapter today. And going into some of the drama of what happens from anybody who knows my book series. If you haven't listened to the audio drama so far, of how it's really interesting to see Cole's story from his side, because he actually has so much influence in Erica's story. It could be argued that he's actually the hero of the story, because he's the one who, I wouldn't give that away, but I'll just make that argument, that it could be argued. So it's neat to bring his story to life in a different way. Okay, so realities of post-apocalyptic travel. So just a little bit off base for 1 second, because we were just talking about this last night. In what is today a 45-minute drive in a situation where you don't have a vehicle and you have to travel from point A to point B. If you don't leave clear instructions for somebody on where you could be in just that little geographical space, you might never find them again for the rest of your life. We're so used to having vehicles where we can just jump in and be like, boop, we're there. That 45-minute trip has now become a couple days walk.
Yeah. Have you ever looked at Google Maps? Like when you're planning a route, it'll say like car, and it'll say bicycle, and it'll say
walking.
And the time differences between that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's when I was like, ooh, good thing I'm a fiction author. Because they can travel much faster than in reality. They're like speed walkers, But that really hits home when you think about that. We think about how do we connect with people that are far away? Well, far away becomes a lot shorter without our modern means of transportation. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they in the old days, like they never left the county, right?
Right. And they were like traveling for days sometimes into town and whatnot and stuff like that. So you talk about like, we're going to go across the whole country to find somebody. Well, good luck, first of all, making it across the country. And second of all, even if you did make it, like, would you ever actually find them? I don't know. There's an argument to be made that, without really clear directions on where to be, that is in a map form.
Right.
Yeah, it would be pretty much impossible. So I really wanted to just open up with that food for thought because it is something that I don't think, I've been born and raised in modern America, right? And as somebody born and raised in modern America, I don't even think even I can fathom that concept fully because we've just never been faced with it.
Right.
Yeah, on any kind of realistic scale. It's like, well, why don't you just go over here? Well, do you know how much like that takes if you can't just jump in a car and you don't have gas stations along the way and things like that?
And you can't just feel secure in driving there from point A to point B. Is there going to be road bandits or, you're going
to be hiding out, having to travel more down low.
Kind of two-legged, four-legged obstacles are you going to have,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's one thing that I realized, like moving out to the country. I mean, there's four-legged things out here that I have to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Not suburbia. It was like, who was like, checking the handles on my car overnight to try to, steal something out of the car. Here, it's like, are those paw prints from a bear?
A bobcat? Who's coming at my stuff? Yep.
What just dragged my trash can across the property?
Yes. Welcome to country living, Chin.
Yeah. So what if you had to travel cross country and you're dealing with whatever?
All of that. Right.
Rattlesnake or yeah.
And then trying to, supply your essentials along the way too. You can only carry so much water. You can't carry like 5. Well, maybe you could carry 5 gallons. Okay, but you cannot carry like 20 gallons of water. That's just ridiculous. You can't do that. So you're going to have those refuels along the way.
Yep.
Regardless. So let's talk a little bit.
Appalachian Trail.
Yes. Yeah.
The people that go end to end, whether through whatever they call them, long haul. I don't forget what they're called. There's a word for the people that go from end to end, make the whole journey. But they have to plan on what town they're going to get restocked in, have packages mailed there so it's there when they get into town and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, one of the guys I know that did it from like the Auburn area, it was the Pacific Trail one that goes up into Washington. Yeah, he had like restocks for him along the way.
Yeah.
And then
even like boots.
And
everything.
His dogs, like he had brought them with him and their feet were just done. So he had to have his dogs shipped back to California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who would thought, right?
Exactly. And he even had like the boots and everything for his dogs. He knew it was going to be a concern, right? But they just couldn't do that. So, we think so much of our animals, and the reality is that probably we're the ones who can go much farther than them. I mean, when does a dog pack travel like across the whole country? That doesn't normally happen, right? A dog pack, or like think about a coyote pack, they stay within their county, or within their little space. So they're not into like going trekking for days. That's not what they were designed to do. Like animals like a mountain lion obviously has a bigger range, but they still have a range. It's not, they're not going from Mexico to Canada,
Yeah.
Like I'm going on a day trip. That's not what they do. That's what humans do. So,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about modern day, because you have some great tips for road trips, and man, you've helped me out. Like I've been road tripping my whole life, but you've given me things to think about that.
It was funny, like how I've done my, like back in the day, like in college. This was like pre-Google Maps.
Okay,
I like real maps. Yeah, I like real maps, and I'd get a little notepad out, and I'd write out my directions and little like cliff notes that I keep on the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go 5 miles, turn at this intersection, whatever.
Right. Yeah, we used to print out the pages. I remember that. We'd like do the print out the directions.
And we had the little thing, like the directions, so you just flip it. So that was easy.
Yep.
And then we went to Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm back to like a hybrid, because I like to have I always have maps in the car, but I like to have cues to like gas stations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go 100% Google Maps. I preview it. So this, like the list that I sent you is kind of my growth in how I travel now.
Yeah. No, it's good. The miles per gallon tip is huge. I was up.
Yeah, which
I was driving from like after say I'm thinking up in Montana area. There are so few gas stations across that area. When we were coming from like Yellowstone through Idaho up and I was like, oh, no worries, no worries. My husband's asleep. I'm driving with my buddy. We're like, yeah, we can totally make it. We don't need to stop. And we passed the gas station, dude. Like,
yeah.
And oh boy, we came in on fumes, and I was like, okay, when in doubt, just fill it up.
Yeah.
Because
that's one of my things, right? I mean, don't go below a certain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it takes more time. The trip is going to take longer, but
possibly it could be way longer.
A successful trip.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's always.
Yeah.
But, how many times you've been like you drive in and Google says, "Oh, there's an accident ahead. We're going to divert you," right? And you divert through the boondocks.
Right.
Man, I hope I don't lose internet right now.
That was us on the way home from prepper camp last year in Arkansas, or what's that, Arkansas or Louisiana? One of them.
Have enough fuel, you could be stuck.
Yeah.
In a bad place.
Yeah. Oh no, it was Alabama. Yeah, we were backwoods stuff. Yeah. I was like, okay. But luckily they do have that for you. But sometimes like you still need to get out your map and actually look at what's going on. Because they're like, oh, divert this way, heavy traffic this way. And then everybody's looking at that GPS. So everybody goes that direction, and now that direction's stopped. Right. So it does.
I always try to look at what's going on, like how long that traffic jam is. Because sometimes I might want to just power through the traffic jam.
Right, exactly.
And not get off the route.
Yeah.
And just sit, listen to a book or music or something, and take the secure route as opposed to going 20 miles inland back around to skirt around 2 miles of a
dirt road that's now in a traffic jam as well.
Yeah.
Because everybody else went that way. Yeah.
So, I mean, I try to look and not just like those gifs of the memes where the guy just drives into a pool because Google says turn left now or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Have your thinking cap on and don't just follow the. Yeah. What else do we got? So you do a lot of the gas, the planning with the gas consumption, which is so key.
It's important.
Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be in like the survival stage.
Yeah. I think a lot of that came from like hurricane preparedness. Because when we were at the coast, we had to plan routes to get inland,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started then,
Yeah. Yeah, because you need to know. And what if that gas station's not open and like you had planned to be that one? You got to have alternatives.
Out of fuel too. Because if you got everybody coming up from
yeah, they're all
Florida,
on the same
Georgia,
route.
South Carolina going inland, then all the gas is going to get wiped out. So another reason why you want to keep topping off.
And like maybe have your own route. That's not what Google's sending people, because then at least you're not going the same way as everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Gas Buddy app, if you guys don't know what that is, you should definitely check that out if you're ever road tripping. Gas Buddy app is very cool. Just because usually there's like 4 or 5 choices when you come into a town on what station to go to, and that like gives you the prices and stuff, so you can be like, oh, let's go over here where it's cheaper.
And reviews. And I do try to look at pictures too. Like I use Google Satellite View, because you could look at, that looks to be a nice clean place, and the reviews good, and that looks like there's like 2 pumps and the like half the
and you have to like come in and do a 90-degree angle as soon as you get in there, and when you're towing that trailer
I'm all about the
yeah
it's like, or if you have like a larger truck, or I mean, if you had like a 4-door pickup truck with an 8-foot bed, some of these gas stations are stupid.
Mm-hmm. And no maneuvering room. And how are you supposed to get that vehicle?
And if you have the option to like, before you leave on a trip, to plan out what gas stations you want to stop at and look at these views, because right now with technology, we can look at the view of the actual gas station, and people are taking pictures, so you can see like pictures around and see what's in the store. And like, do you just stop at a gas station that has like grungy toilets, or do you stop at one that if you need to get
Buc-ee's is
charger for your phone, or if you want to get some snacks or whatever,
that goes with your recall past trips and write down the good stops. No, for us it's new every time. We choose a new place every time. No, I'm kidding. That's a great idea.
I literally nowadays, before I go on a road trip, I take a piece of paper out and I do my Google Satellite search and my Gas Buddy search, and I write down different exits on the different major routes, and I just, Sunoco, whatever, exit 25 Sunoco, exit 2, and then, I'm getting the best looking gas station with the highest rating, with the easiest on and off. On and off is another good thing too, because some of these entrance, like you have, I hate where they're taking cars off the highway and bringing them back on the highway on that same little piece of road.
Overpass area. Yeah, because then you're waiting. Everything
gets homework before you get on the road, and it's much better.
What's this next exit app? I don't know.
So that's if you didn't plan well, or if you have to change up along the way. Next Exit is an app that when you're on the road, you can look at the exit coming up, or a couple exits up, and it'll tell you what's there. It'll say, there's this, like the roadside signs, it tells you what gas station, what restaurants, what hotel. It's that information, but you don't have to wait until a mile away from the exit.
Yeah, they have the one that's like, you're screwed. There's nothing for miles.
The vulture sitting on the sign.
For sure. I've seen it multiple times, I think.
Yeah, so next app is a good one just to have. I don't use it that often, but I have used it, especially in traffic jam. Like if you're in that traffic jam, I pulled up next app to see what, should I just get off here to see what's there? Maybe we can go eat dinner now.
Right?
Get off. Dinner.
Chill. We've done that before. It's like
just
you get so frustrated in the traffic anyway. And by the time you take that hour and like relax for a little bit, it's probably going to be cleared up.
Right.
So you might as well just chill. Well, we've done that multiple times. Especially I get.
That's another thing that I didn't put in the list. But I always try to if I do stop for a meal or get gas, I'll try to stop at 11 instead of 12 or 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're beating that rush. Because everybody wants to stop at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock for lunch.
And that's what we do, like with major cities. If we have to go for, we have to go through Atlanta to get to prepper camp. So we always hit Atlanta at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, because we know there's not going to be anybody on the road, and we'll just be able to straight shot through it, get through that city, and then stop on the other side. Because it's just a nightmare. So if you can hit it at times when you know the traffic's not going to be heavy, unfortunately on the way home, we don't really have a choice. We have to go through the city. And then a colorful line of cuss words comes out of my husband's mouth every time. So, anytime you can avoid that, do. By all means, give yourself that chill, Mm-hmm. And if you got to stop for food and that kind of stuff anyway, do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so carrying extra fuel, always an interesting thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so to do this drive that they're doing that Cole's doing, so their truck has, alternate tanks on it. So I was thinking about like some pluses and minuses of the extra tanks. Well, obviously in like a survival situation, they're not as obvious because you can't carry gas inside your vehicle, right?
Right.
You'll asphyxiate everybody that's in the car. So unless you want to have like a really interesting driving experience, I don't recommend it at all. Okay. The fuel needs to be on the outside. And in a survival situation, your red can strapped to the outside.
Yeah, it's just a beacon.
Yeah. Like, oh, who needs fuel? Because I've got it. Yeah, plus, it's also a target, too. I mean, if I was going to shoot at a vehicle and there's a big red gas can on it, guess what I'm going to shoot at,
Yeah.
So
and what else? If those people are of the mindset to pack extra fuel, what else did they pack extra of, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like carrying, your bug out bag and full camos when you're in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
Like, if you're smart enough to be doing all that, then you probably got some good stuff. So it's always an interesting thing for me to kind of explore is, like, how would we really carry extra fuel? Maybe you could, like, build out a little lightweight box. I mean, even if it had, even if it was done in fabric or something.
I was talking to somebody, one of my very first prepper camps, and they camouflaged it by they bought like, I don't know, like a diaper, like a case of diapers or some crap, like something like.
Oh, and then put that over the top of it. And
took everything out. I put that over top of the gas can.
Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right, because you got to have it outside the vehicle. You can't.
And it's not like diapers are going to be like a hide item, right? Oh, let's go steal those diapers.
Pickup trucks, you can also get like the tanks that go on the beds.
Yeah.
So I mean, I
got some of those.
Awesome if you have a good tank that you can put in the bed, and it doesn't really look like it. It kind of looks like one of those toolboxes, Yeah. And you could definitely camouflage it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Fuel itself. Let's talk about the fuel itself, because most post-apocalyptic shows, they go up to the vehicle, they do a little, drain the tank, and away they go. Now they got fuel for their car, So the realities is, like, our modern gasoline doesn't actually last that long. The major things that are going to take your gasoline down are evaporation, oxidation. So as the gasoline evaporates, it gets thick and sludgy. So that's bad. The too much oxygen getting to it. So if you have it in one of those red cans, like for your lawnmower, it's actually going to go bad pretty quick unless you seal that down. The additives in it, so like ethanol, is actually it's a hydrophilic, so it sucks water out of the air. And so if it's in like a humid area, like Texas, something like that, you're going to have water in your gasoline now, and that's not good for an engine. Sedimentation and then storage. So it has to be stored. There's different ways to store it, but it's just like food. It's got to be airtight. It should be metal's definitely the best to store it in.
Opaque containers.
Right. Yeah. You don't want the sunlight on it. Burying it is actually best. Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you were post-apocalyptic situation and you could find buried tanks, that's probably going to be your best fuel if somebody else hasn't found it yet. That's going to be your...
Somebody else doesn't have you in their sights.
Right, as you're trying to siphon out. But, some people have them out at their farms and stuff like that. If you came to abandoned farm or whatnot, I wouldn't suggest walking up on somebody's farm. But, if you could do that. So... the tank containers are definitely the best. The ones they use for gas stations that they store underground. Those are the best for keeping fuel good. Then the steel containers, steel aluminum container, make sure the rubber gasket for the lid is in really good shape. And then plastic cans are pretty much the less suitable option because it accelerates oxidation and it can accumulate a static charge. So it can actually be a fire hazard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like we talked about, the fire safety of storing it. The temperature should be 30 degrees maximum. Optimal temperature is 15 degrees. These are in Celsius, I believe. Minimum should be 10 degrees. So tightly sealed air should not exceed more than 5% of the tank. So you want to keep, if you're going to plan on storing fuel, you want to make sure that your tank is full. So as little bit of oxygen is in there as possible. So average store years. So in the car tank, average storage is about 6 months. Now, the fuel could be okay. It's going to lose octane quality. It will be rougher, but you might still be able to use it. They just don't suggest putting it in a really expensive engine and giving that a go. Try your lawnmower first, kind of thing, rather than your Aston Martin. Here's a couple of great sources. I'm gonna throw them into the into the live chat so everybody can have some resources. The second one, askmechanic.com. That one I thought was a little bit more informational and better info. And then if you're storing it in a jerry can, you got about a year life. If you're storing it in a drum, you've got about a 2 years life, as long as that rubber seal is good. And then if you're storing it in a tank, you got about a 3-year life on that gasoline. And if it's in a tank and it's buried, you have about a 5-year life on it. And the temperature variations are going to reduce that lifespan by about 20 to 35%. And then lack of tightness, the air getting to it, is going to also reduce that lifespan by about 20%. So the longer you're going out after a collapse scenario, the more difficult it's going to be to actually find viable gasoline. So you really need to start thinking alternate methods like gasifiers. Those are great. I mean, you can just keep chug-a-lugging on, fuels, on dung and things like that. So I really see the gasifier kind of stepping up. I guess a steam engine, whatever. I mean, if you could get your car to do that. I'm sure with as innovative and spectacular as people are, we would definitely figure out other means of mobilizing ourselves around the country and whatnot. Or we'd have some facilities back up and running to be able to get the gasoline supply again. But you just never know how long it'll be if it's a severe grid down situation from something like a CME or something like that. So how do you tell if the gas is bad? changes color. It gets darker, and it actually smells bad. Like, my husband just ran into this. He had fuel stored at his mom's house that was out in a shed for his chainsaw. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know, Still put it in the engine, and it just didn't run well at all. So I was like, okay, drain that out of there. Let's, get some good fuel for it. So it happens quicker than you might think that the fuel actually goes bad. And then we talked about the different, traveling with fuel. If you've got fuel in a post-apocalyptic situation and everybody else doesn't, it's going to be a highly sought after commodity, I would say, just like food,
Yeah.
Oh, you're going off in the live chat, aren't you?
I am.
You are. Love it.
Garden Girl was talking about travel, and I'm like, yeah. Make a list of friends, the family, and acquaintances.
It's a great
along the route.
tip.
Yeah, because I've done that. Like you and I, with our network of people and listeners and friends, and
I like just getting the opportunity to meet different people along the way. So I'll hook up lunches and stuff like that.
Yeah, but my wife had to go to California, so I hooked up people all the way across the country. I'm like, if you end up getting diverted here or going there, and then I contacted those people, confirmed that they're okay with it, and exchanged phone numbers. And so the whole way she had a paper list, and I put all the contacts in her phone.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and we do have a really big network. So, Garden Girl, you won't have any problems there with finding a vast network of people to get hooked up with.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into some Changing Earth news while we still got a few minutes left.
All that good music.
All right, Changing Earth news. So today is June the 25th, 2023. And we have some sunspots that are making some noise on the sun. They're going to turn Earth facing. So we do have eyes on. But the big story right now, coming out of the suspicious observers arena, is no matter what method we're using, or people are measuring different effects on the electrical lines, how much these CMEs are affecting our services, right? And they've been doing this for a lot of years. And right now, we've never had more serious effect from minor events than what we're having right now. And so the big cue off is that our shield is weakening more and more, and the polar points adjusting is affecting our planet more and more. And we had a big series of dolphins washing up on beaches again, and just kind of animals gone a little bit loco. And that's because they use so much of the magnetism to guide themselves. And now that it's, going into this period of adjustment and significant adjustment, the poles have moved crazy amount. I used to watch this guy Mavstar, and he was all about once we go to the 45 degree mark, that's, when things are going into severe chaos. And we're just about there, if not at that point already. So it's serious. It's a legitimate thing that we're watching happen on our planet. Nobody's really talking about it, but it is affecting us, and pretty much it's coming out of every scientific, because they use these scientific measurements for function of basic services like our electricity, right? And the tiny little sun activity that we're having is having a bigger and bigger impact on these services and on these things. So that's not necessarily great news to hear, but that's, why we're prepared, not scared. All right. So June 17th, we had 379 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 6.0 in Tongatapu in the South Pacific Ocean. In southwestern Russia, they had a massive hail event. Hail is the big story of our planet right now. Serious hail events. So a massive hail event there in southwestern Russia with egg-sized hail coming in. 33 residential high-rise buildings were damaged, 7 schools and 14 kindergartens. Over 2,000 buildings in total were seriously impacted by that hail and had some serious damage to them because of it, as well as vehicles. And then there was heavy wind and rain with that also causing flooding and whatnot. But the hail, man, it comes through everything when it's that big, and it's coming down hard. In Greece, they had unseasonable weather for Greece. They had flooding. 2 people died in those floods. Both the mainland and the islands were affected. Their crops were also severely affected by this flooding event. They think they might lose the whole year's production. Ouch. In Serbia, that same system that hit Greece hit Serbia as well. They saw massive flooding. They had to do some serious evacuations. 52 cities went into a state of emergency, and roads were just completely washing out, collapsing. Very big flooding event. Nepal also got hit unusually hard by their monsoon rainstorms that came in, causing landslides and flooding. 13 people died due to that event. 26 people were still missing as of the 17th. 20 homes were destroyed, like completely destroyed, washed off the face of the earth, and many more were affected by that flood. On June 18th, there was 362 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.4 in Mexico. On the 18th, that's when Mississippi was hit by a serious tornado in Jasper County. 1 person unfortunately lost their life due to that event, and 24 people were injured because of that event. Another tornado also touched down in Moss Point. There were no injuries or deaths associated with that tornado. In northwestern India, 7 people died on the 18th due to the massive storm that they've been dealing with. 265 people were injured in the flooding in Rajasthan. 15,000 people had to be relocated from low-lying areas, and over 7,000 homes were damaged. In Chennai City, they had record rainfall for the biggest recorded over the past 27 years. So that's some serious rain coming into India. Prayers go out to everybody affected in all these events. In Canada, the Donny Creek wildfire. So Canada is still on fire, still burning around the North American Craton. Northeastern BC has surpassed in record size the 2017 Plateau Fire as the largest fire for the area. This fire started on May 12th due to lightning. It is 5,343 square kilometers, or 534,000 hectares, or 1,320,000 acres on fire in that fire. Yeah. And that's just one of them. There's still 80 fires burning, with 24 of them completely out of control with no containment in sight. Luckily, these are in areas that aren't really highly populated. So the ones where they are, trying to contain it as much as possible, obviously, is around where they have communities that would be affected by these fire situations. But that is insane. That's a big number of acreage that's up in flames. And that's just one fire. That million acres is just one of those fires. It's crazy, right? Okay, on the 19th, my birthday, there was 414 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.9 in Papua New Guinea. In the United States, an EF1 tornado touched down in Miramar and Sandiston. It was a waterspout that came in off the Gulf of Mexico. It was onshore for 5 minutes. It went 1.2 miles. There were no fatalities or injuries, but they did have some serious damage due to that waterspout coming ashore. In southwestern Brazil, they had a fireball enter the atmosphere. It was seen from 8 states there. It traveled 274 miles in 8 seconds. So, and then it just dissipated in the air. No damage on the ground, but definitely a cool event to see. In Canada and Western Alberta, so up in Canada, all these fires are burning. And then in Western Alberta, they get a rare snowfall. At Jasper National Park was most affected. 55 centimeters or 22 inches of snow on the ground in this event. It's like, why could you not snow on the fires? Right? 60 visitors were stranded in Jasper National Park. The city of Jasper was affected. And it's not that it's unusual to see snows coming down in these high elevation areas. What was unusual about this event is it extended down into the valleys. And so you're getting snow in the middle of summer, which is a little odd to say the least. On the 20th of June, there was 411 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.8 in the Indian Ocean near Indonesia. In the United States, severe thunderstorms hit Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They had wind, rain, and unprecedented golf ball to baseball size hail coming down. Another serious hail event. They confirmed a 3.7 inch or 9.5 centimeter hail ball, largest ever recorded in the region. So, hail. That's a big story of this week.
Hail, yes.
Hail. Oh my gosh. In south central Russia, they had a severe thunderstorm with hurricane force winds. It hit Bogota the worst. They had power outages and property damage. One person did pass away when a roof fell on him. It was blown off the building onto the guy, and he passed away, unfortunately. In Western Germany, Frankfurt City was hit with a major thunderstorm. Massive property damage. The windows were actually torn right out of buildings. Like some of the windows, just from the force of these winds and the downdraft of the storm, it just wreaked havoc. On the 21st of June, there was 420 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.5 in the South Atlantic Ocean. In the United States, in Denver, the Red Rock Amphitheater was hit with a brief hailstorm during a concert. 90 people, yeah, they're like screaming and running. 90 people.
I've been there. That's like all open.
Yeah. 90 people were injured, and they had to cancel the show. People had serious bruising and cuts. 7 people were seriously injured in that hail event. So it
just imagine it's like a huge stone like seating amphitheater.
Right. And then you have ice balls just flying out of the air at you. And
it's
they're
like a movie. It's like one of these sci-fi movies.
Yeah. The storms are popping up so quick that they can't track them, right? They can't give people any advance warning on this stuff because they're just appearing out of nowhere. And then wham, you're just hit with these huge hail events. And then in Matador, northern Texas, 4 people died, 10 people were injured, multiple homes demolished. One of the 11 recorded tornadoes touched down there. The tornadoes touched down in Nebraska, Wyoming, and Texas, according to the National Weather Service. And hundreds of thousands of people were without power, and it is getting toasty down here in Texas. So, and really north of us into those areas, we're under extreme heat advisories as well. So not a good time to have your power turned off. It gets hot. In southern Spain, Murcia was hit with an intense hailstorm, extensive damage. They had golf ball size hail. It affected their peach, apricot, and many other crops. So, your peach trees are hit by that hailstorm. Your apricot trees are hit by that hailstorm. It's not going to be good for those trees. Even just the wind when the trees are loaded is not going to do good things for your trees. Trust me. They had torrential downpours that also accompanied that storm, causing flooding. The Argos River was severely affected. It broke record highs. It's definitely the largest flooding event in the 21st century. Florida had some severe weather coming on board when people were getting on their cruise ship there. And so they're trying to board the cruise ship, and all of the patio chairs and whatnot from the deck of the cruise ship were flying at people and hitting them and everything. For me, it's like,
there's your sign.
I was going to say, here's your sign, man. Like,
I think I won't be on this cruise.
You maybe don't want to go out on the cruise ship. I'm just saying. Now, granted, this is coming from somebody who doesn't like the
Not
ocean.
Be on the cruise ship anyway.
Yeah, wow.
If you start seeing deck furniture flying around before you even leave port.
Come on, baby. It's going to be perfectly safe. Bam!
And I hope the bar is open.
Right. Yeah. June 22nd, Germany was hit by another round of thunderstorms. Of course, my information gets a little spotty in here as we get up to the current date. The 23rd, Barbados, Tropical Storm Brett was making noise down there in the south, and it hit Barbados. They had some severe high waves, but no reports of death or anything like that from that event. Golf ball size hail came down in Grad, Russia. And then the Philippines, there was a pretty massive tornado that came up on one of my alerts going on there in the Philippines. And then Chile's had flooding in the Andes Mountains. So it's up in the mountains. They have rivers that are overflowing and whatnot, causing some serious flooding up there. On the 24th of June, they were having some tornadoes and hail break out in Wyoming and the Dakotas. So prayers for everybody up there. We will have more information on that next week. So as far as the volcanoes, we have 26 volcanoes actively erupting. We have 25 showing minor activity, and we have 34 showing unrest. We added 1 to our overall count this year or this week. The minor event is up 1 more than we were last week. All of these numbers are above average except for the unrest number. That one's not above average yet. So Pele was on the list, but Vesuvius was not on the list. So that was, the prophet Edgar Casey, right? He said, if you see Vesuvius and Pele going out at the same time, heads up. So I always kind of keep an eye out for that. As far as earthquakes, 4.0 or bigger. In the last 24 hours, we had 35 earthquakes that were 4.0 or bigger. In the last 48 hours, we had 75. In the last week, we had 258. In the last 2 weeks, we had 532. The biggest of today was a doozy. It was a 6.3 just south of Tonga. That area gets hit a lot. There's some serious underground earth activity going on there. And the last 2 days were above average. But the last week and 2 weeks were below. So, some days are spiking and some days are lower. It's just really intermittent. I don't see a real pattern to it at this point. As far as wildfires in the United States of America, we are looking pretty good this year as far as it goes. It could be, we've been in much worse seasonal conditions, so I'll put it that way. California is still really chilly. They're still getting rain in Washington. So there's 87,133 acres on fire in the United States of America, with just 3 states reporting. This is all coming out of 10 large wildfires. The number 1 state right now is New Mexico with 55,686 acres on fire from 3 fires. None of them are contained at this time. The number 2 state is Arizona, 15,805 acres on fire from 6 fires, and only 1 of those is contained at this time. The number 3 state reporting is North Carolina still. Man, you guys gotta get your firefighters out there.
Running out of hot dogs.
Right? 15,642 acres on fire. This is coming from 1 fire, and it is not contained. So I don't know if they're just letting it burn, because North Carolina's been on our list for
crazy.
Months now.
I need to look that up.
Right? It's over by the coast. Every time I research it, it's over by the coast. And I'm like, why are they not putting this out? It's been months now of that one popping up as I'm still on the list. Still on the list.
Someone needs to update the freaking list.
Right? I mean, they did, because last week there was at least 7 or 8 states reporting in. I only give you the top few. This week there was only 3 states literally reporting in. So, I mean, you don't usually see that in June in the United States. So it's actually pretty good. We've been getting wet. So it's been keeping things down. Alrighty. Well, if all goes as planned, I will definitely email out to the members and let you know when that new episode of the audio drama has gone live. I know what it sounds like. I can't wait to share it with you guys. That's all I'm saying. And then next week we have a cool show planned. I'm not even going to tell you what the topic's going to be, because it's fun, and you gotta just tune in for that one. We might have to have a couple of drinks.
Make a game out of
it. Yeah. So yeah, and fun story with Virgis. So go become a subscriber. You get the early, become a, supporting member of the Changing Earth. You get that early access to the audio drama, behind the scenes clips. I do a audiobook a month. I got to get up there and switch that out right now. But love to see you guys over there. Always appreciate the feedback. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.